When the beloved Dr. Paul passed away, he left more than a legacy of care and compassion. He left a fortune so staggering that T moved his family to tears. But why were those tears shed? Was it joy, shock, or something more complex? Behind closed doors lies a story of surprising twists, heartfelt revelations, and secrets that may change everything they thought they knew about him. Stay tuned. This is just the beginning. Establishment of Paul Veterinary Services. The story of Paul Veterinary Services begins in 1981, when Dr. Jan Paul and his wife Diane decided to take a leap of faith and start their own veterinary clinic in the rural town of Weidman, Michigan. For Dr. Paul, this wasn't just the next step in his career. It was the culmination of a dream, a chance to create a practice where he could provide hands-on, no-nonsense veterinary care to the animals he loved and the farmers who depended on them. But let's rewind a little to the context of that moment. By 1981, Dr. Paul had been working as a veterinarian in Michigan for several years. He had built a reputation as a dedicated, hard-working professional who could handle anything from delivering a calf in the middle of the night to treating a sick pig or diagnosing a horse's mysterious illness. Despite his success, there was a growing sense that he could do more if he had the freedom to run his own practice. That's where Diane came in. Together, they decided to combine their talents, his veterinary skills and her organizational prowess, and start their own clinic. In those early days, Paul Veterinary Services was a humble operation, to say the least. The clinic operated out of the Paul's house, with the garage serving as the main workspace. The community in Weidman quickly took notice. Farmers, pet owners, and livestock breeders were drawn to Dr. Paul's approachable demeanor and practical solutions. He didn't just offer veterinary care. He offered reassurance and reliability in a field where those things are priceless. Need someone to show up at 3 a.m. because your prized cow is having trouble giving birth? Dr. Paul was your guy. Worried that your chickens might be sick? He was just a phone call away. His willingness to go the extra mile and then some earned him not just clients but lifelong supporters. As word spread, the demand for Dr. Paul's services grew, and so did the practice. By the mid-1980s, it was clear that the garage setup was no longer sufficient to handle the volume of patients and the increasingly diverse needs of the community. The Pauls decided to expand, building a proper clinic space that could accommodate their growing operation. This was a turning point, not just for the business, but for the Paul family. It marked the transition from a small, home-based endeavor to a thriving rural veterinary practice that was becoming a cornerstone of the community. Over the years, Paul Veterinary Services has expanded in every sense of the word. The clinic grew physically, with new facilities and equipment that allowed Dr. Paul and his team to take on more complex cases. The staff grew as well, with the addition of veterinary assistants, technicians, and eventually associate veterinarians who shared Dr. Paul's passion for animal care. And perhaps most importantly, the clinic's reach expanded. People from neighboring towns, and even other states, started bringing their animals to Weidman, drawn by the reputation of the incredible Dr. Paul. Career beginnings. Dr. Paul was born on September 4, 1942, in the quiet village of Wateren in the Friesland region of the Netherlands. Life in the mid-20th century wasn't glamorous or easy, especially on a dairy farm. But for young Jan, the farm was an endless source of fascination and inspiration. Growing up among cows, pigs, chickens, and other farm animals, he quickly developed a respect for the creatures that provided his family with sustenance and livelihood. The Paul family farm was not large but bustling with activity. Every day was filled with tasks that needed to be completed to keep the farm running smoothly. Feeding the animals, milking cows, and cleaning stalls were all part of Jan's daily routine. These chores were not just responsibilities but lessons in discipline, resilience, and the symbiotic relationship between humans and animals. Imagine a young Jan, barely tall enough to carry a bucket of milk, watching intently as his father cared for a sick cow or gently guided a new calf into the world. Those moments were formative, planting the seeds of a lifelong passion. Jan's interest in animals went beyond the surface. He wasn't just interested in caring for them, he wanted to understand them. What made them sick? How could they recover? Why did some thrive while others struggled? These were questions that filled his mind as he grew up. While most children his age might have dreamed of becoming firefighters or astronauts, Jan knew early on that he wanted to dedicate his life to helping animals. In the Paul household, education was highly valued. Although resources were limited, Jan's parents encouraged him to pursue his dreams. His natural curiosity and academic abilities set him apart, and he excelled in school. But unlike many of his peers who might have aimed for careers in business or manufacturing, Jan remained steadfast in his desire to work with animals. This determination would eventually lead him to Utrecht University, one of the most prestigious veterinary schools in the Netherlands. Getting into Utrecht University was no small feat. The competition was fierce, and the coursework was rigorous. But Jan thrived in this environment. He poured himself into his studies, driven by the belief that he could make a real difference in the lives of both animals and the people who cared for them. During his time at the university, he honed his skills and deepened his understanding of veterinary medicine, laying the foundation for the successful career that lay ahead. In 1970, after years of hard work, Jan graduated from Utrecht University with a veterinary degree. For many, this would have been the pinnacle of success, a dream realized. But for Jan, it was just the beginning. He was eager to put his knowledge into practice and make his mark on the world. Little did he know that his path would soon take him far beyond the borders of the Netherlands. During his university years, a chance encounter would change the course of Jan's life forever. While participating in a student exchange program, he met Diane, a bright and engaging American woman who would later become his wife. Their connection was instant and deep, built on shared values and mutual admiration. Diane introduced Jan to the United States, a country brimming with opportunities and challenges that intrigued him. After their marriage, the couple made the bold decision to move to Diane's home state of Michigan. For Jan, this was a leap into the unknown. He was leaving behind everything familiar, his family, his culture, and the rolling farmlands of the Netherlands. But he was also stepping into a world of new possibilities. Michigan, with its vast rural areas and strong agricultural communities, was an ideal place for a young veterinarian to build a career. Jan's first job in the United States was in Harbor Beach, Michigan, where he joined an existing veterinary practice. It was a far cry from the structured environment of veterinary school, but Jan embraced the challenge. Rural veterinary work was demanding and unpredictable, requiring long hours and a willingness to handle whatever came through the door. From delivering calves in the dead of night to treating injuries and illnesses in horses, cows, pigs, and even the occasional pet, Jan's days were filled with variety and urgency. One of the most striking aspects of Jan's early career was his ability to connect with people. Farmers in the community quickly came to respect his straightforward approach and genuine care for their animals. Veterinary medicine, he discovered, wasn't just about diagnosing and treating. It was about building trust and relationships. Jan didn't just treat animals. He listened to the farmers' concerns, understood their struggles, and worked tirelessly to find solutions. While Jan was thriving professionally, he and Diane were also building a life together. Their shared vision and hard work made them a formidable team. Diane played a crucial role in supporting Jan's career, helping to navigate the cultural and logistical challenges of starting a new life in a foreign country. After several years in Harbor Beach, Jan and Diane decided it was time to strike out on their own. In 1981, they founded Paul Veterinary Services in Weidman, Michigan. The practice was initially small, operating out of their home, but it quickly grew as word spread about Jan's skill and dedication. The rural community embraced the Pauls, and the clinic became a cornerstone of the area. The incredible Dr. Paul. When people think of Dr. Jan Paul today, they often associate him with the hit reality TV show, The Incredible Dr. Paul. But it's worth noting that fame didn't just come knocking on his door one day. It was the result of a unique blend of family ambition, a bit of luck, and Dr. Paul's authentic charm. The journey to becoming a TV icon began in 2011, when an idea born out of his son Charles Paul's creative vision transformed a rural Michigan veterinarian into a global sensation. Dr. Paul's life had always been full of stories worth telling, With decades of experience under his belt, he had seen it all: calves stuck during difficult births, horses with mysterious ailments, dogs with quirky injuries, and everything in between. His days were filled with dramatic rescues, heartwarming recoveries, and moments of pure hilarity. For most people, these stories might have stayed within the walls of the clinic or been shared over dinner with friends and family. But Charles saw the potential for something bigger. Charles Paul had always been inspired by his father's work. Growing up, he witnessed firsthand the dedication and passion Dr. Paul brought to his veterinary practice. By the time Charles entered adulthood, he had developed an interest in storytelling and television production. He understood that good TV wasn't just about fancy visuals or big budgets. It was about people, their stories, and their ability to connect with viewers. And who better to connect with audiences than his larger-than-life father? The idea for the incredible Dr. Paul started with a simple thought. What if the world could see what Charles saw every day? What if viewers could witness his dad's incredible work ethic, compassion for animals, and unfiltered sense of humor? Charles pitched the concept of a reality TV show about his father's life as a rural veterinarian, and it wasn't long before he caught the attention of producers who also saw the potential. In 2011, the idea became a reality when The Incredible Dr. Paul premiered on Nat Geo Wild. From the very first episode, it was clear that the show was something special. It wasn't flashy or overproduced. Quite the opposite. The show was refreshingly down to earth, much like Dr. Paul himself. Each episode followed him as he tackled the daily challenges of running a rural veterinary clinic, from delivering calves in snowstorms to treating sick pets and livestock. It was a raw, honest look at a life that was equal parts demanding and rewarding. What made the show truly incredible, though, was Dr. Paul himself. He wasn't just a veterinarian. He was a character in the best sense of the word. With his thick Dutch accent, unshakable work ethic, and occasional gruffness, he quickly became a fan favorite. Viewers loved his no-nonsense approach to problem-solving and his genuine love for animals. Whether he was coaxing a reluctant pig onto a scale or diving headfirst into a muddy field to save a cow, Dr. Paul's dedication and charm shone through. Of course, Charles played a key role in bringing the show to life and ensuring its success. As one of the show's producers, he worked tirelessly behind the scenes to shape the narrative, highlight the most compelling moments, and keep the show authentic. Charles understood that the heart of the show wasn't just the veterinary cases, it was the relationships. The bond between Dr. Paul and his clients, the camaraderie among the clinic staff, and the love within the Paul family all made the show feel personal and relatable. The success of The Incredible Dr. Paul was almost immediate. By the end of its first season, it had built a dedicated fan base. People were drawn to the show for its authenticity and the sense of connection it provided. In a world increasingly dominated by slick, scripted reality shows, The Incredible Dr. Paul felt like a breath of fresh air. As the seasons rolled on, the show's popularity only grew. Over time, it became one of Nat Geo Wild's highest-rated programs, attracting millions of viewers from around the globe. Fans loved the diversity of cases, from life-saving surgeries to quirky pet mishaps, and they marveled at Dr. Paul's ability to handle it all with skill and humor. The show didn't shy away from the messier aspects of veterinary work, and that honesty resonated with audiences. By the time The Incredible Dr. Paul reached its peak, it had become more than just a TV show. It was a cultural phenomenon. Fans eagerly awaited each new season, and Dr. Paul became a household name. He was invited to speak at events, appeared on talk shows, and even wrote a best-selling memoir. The show also helped raise awareness about the importance of veterinary care, particularly in rural areas where resources are often limited. In 2024, after 24 seasons, The Incredible Dr. Paul came to an end. The decision to wrap up the show was bittersweet, both for the Paul family and for the legions of fans who had followed their journey for over a decade. By then, Dr. Paul was in his early 80s and ready to slow down, at least a little. The show's cancellation marked the end of an era, but it didn't diminish the impact it had made. Financial success and net worth. Reports suggest that Dr. Paul earned around $30,000 per episode of The Incredible Dr. Paul. Considering the show ran for 24 seasons, with numerous episodes per season, this revenue quickly added up. The show's success not only boosted Dr. Paul's earnings, but also increased the visibility of his veterinary clinic, likely attracting new clients and further enhancing his income from the practice. Beyond his clinic and the TV show, Dr. Paul capitalized on his fame by diversifying his income streams. One notable avenue was his foray into publishing. In 2014, he released his memoir, Never Turn Your Back on an Angus Cow, My Life as a Country Vet. The book, filled with stories from his career and personal life, resonated with fans and animal lovers, becoming a bestseller. The success of the book not only added to his financial portfolio, but also solidified his status as a beloved figure in popular culture. In addition to book sales, Dr. Paul has ventured into product endorsements and branding. His recognizable face and name have been associated with various products, particularly those related to veterinary care and pet wellness. While specifics about endorsement deals remain private, such ventures are common among TV personalities and can provide a significant boost to overall earnings. Dr. Paul also leveraged his popularity to create educational content and merchandise. Whether it was through seminars, speaking engagements, or branded merchandise, these efforts allowed him to reach an even wider audience while generating additional income. By combining his earnings from the veterinary practice, the TV show, book sales, endorsements, and other ventures, Dr. Paul has built a comfortable financial portfolio. As of recent estimates, his net worth stands at approximately $1.5 million. While this figure might not rival the fortunes of some Hollywood celebrities, it is a remarkable achievement for someone who began his career in a modest veterinary clinic serving a rural community. Family dynamics and relationships. Diane Paul, originally from Mayville, Michigan, met Jan while he was studying veterinary medicine at Utrecht University in the Netherlands. Diane was part of an exchange program, and their connection was immediate. Despite coming from different continents, they shared a deep curiosity about the world and a desire to make a difference. After their marriage in 1967, Diane brought Jan to the United States, where they would eventually settle in Weidman, Michigan, and establish Paul Veterinary Services. Their partnership extended beyond their personal lives into their professional endeavors. While Jan focused on veterinary care, Diane managed the administrative side of the practice, ensuring that the clinic ran smoothly. Her organizational skills and commitment allowed Jan to dedicate himself fully to his patients, and together they created a thriving business that became a cornerstone of their community. The Pauls family grew with the adoption of 3 children, Kathy, Charles, and Diane Jr. Adoption was a deliberate choice for the Pauls, rooted in their belief in providing love and support to children in need. Each of their children has brought something unique to the family dynamic and contributed to the family's success. Kathy, the eldest, has largely stayed out of the public eye but has been a supportive presence in the family. Diane Jr., the youngest, has also maintained a relatively private life, though she occasionally appears in family events and moments shared on the show. Both daughters have pursued their own paths but remain deeply connected to their parents and their legacy. Charles Paul, the middle child, has played a pivotal role in shaping the family's public image and transforming their lives with his creative vision. Unlike his sisters, Charles pursued a career in television production, attending the University of Miami and later working in the entertainment industry. It was Charles who had the idea to create The Incredible Dr. Paul, recognizing the potential of his father's fascinating life as a rural veterinarian. He pitched the concept to producers and became one of the driving forces behind the show's success, serving as a producer and occasionally appearing on screen. Challenges and controversies. One of the most notable controversies involved the Michigan Board of Veterinary Medicine. In 2012, Dr. Paul was fined and placed on probation following complaints about his veterinary practices. Critics alleged that his methods were outdated and did not meet modern veterinary standards. The board cited specific instances, including a calf delivery and surgery on a dog, as examples of procedures that were not performed according to regulations. For Dr. Paul, the accusations were deeply frustrating. He defended his approach as practical, cost-effective, and rooted in decades of experience serving rural communities. He argued that his methods were designed to prioritize the welfare of animals while considering the financial limitations of his clients. Many of his supporters, including farmers and pet owners, rallied behind him, emphasizing the positive impact he had made on their lives. The legal issues brought unwelcome attention to the family and the show. Critics questioned the portrayal of veterinary care on television, while supporters praised the transparency and authenticity of Dr. Paul's work. The controversy sparked debates within the veterinary community about the balance between traditional practices and evolving standards, with Dr. Paul becoming a polarizing figure. Dr. Paul's incredible journey leaves a legacy that touches hearts and inspires generations. Don't miss more amazing stories. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay updated on the latest. Thank you for watching.